Welcome back to 504 Road Trips. Today we're going to do an unboxing video, and it's something we normally don't do, but I get a lot of people asking questions about what we shoot our videos with, and of course now we shoot with a GoPro, and we have for the last few years. However, at the very beginning we used a cheap black box dash cam that we got on Amazon for $40 or $50, and it was good to start the channel with, but we started wanting better video quality, so we switched to the GoPro. But for people that want to just have a dash cam in their car, just for their own safety, you know, if you get in an accident and the other person claims that you're at fault, the dash cam can really save you. And you also might witness an accident, and you might want to submit your footage to the police department, you know, to show who was fault in an accident that you witnessed. It's a good thing to have. They're relatively cheap. I ordered two of these off of Amazon for $39 a piece because we had two cars that did not have dash cams. I just got a new car, and that one didn't have one, and the Hyundai that I've been driving most of the time also didn't have a dash cam. So the last dash cam that I had in the Honda Civic was a good dash cam, but when I looked it up on Amazon, they didn't make it anymore. So this is what I found when I looked it up on Amazon just to see what they had, and it's the APEMAN mini dash cam, 1080p, car camera, driving recorder, night vision, 170-degree wide angle, motion detection, parking monitoring, G-sensor, loop recording, blah blah blah. And yeah, it's $39.97 on Amazon. I'll put a link in the description. Now, I'm not endorsing this product. This is just a safety measure. I'm not using this for videos, but it's something, and you know, we'll see exactly how it works out. Now, this package here that they sent me, this is the most impressive package that I've ever seen for a cheap dash cam from China, and I've ordered at least half a dozen of these over the last 5 years, different brands. The last one I ordered came in a plain white box with Chinese lettering all over it that, you know, there was nothing in English. It was almost like a generic box. I don't know if what was written on the box had anything to do with what was inside of it. This is actually, you know, somebody actually did some graphic artwork on this box, and they had a box made to show exactly what was in it. The APEMAN C420 dash cam, 1080p. But let's open it up and see what's inside. We have a little card that I guess you can fold up and put in your wallet, and it has some email addresses for support: Facebook, Twitter, Google+. Wow. I didn't know anybody had Google+ anymore. In fact, I'm pretty sure it doesn't exist anymore. We have a nice owner's manual here in many different languages. Inside the package is the camera. Very lightweight camera. It's square. And it appears to be very basic. It has four buttons on the side. This is where the mount for the suction cup would go, and that is an Android. That's where you plug an Android cable into it to power it. In this box, we have power cable. This plugs into the cigarette lighter in your car. This end is Android. We have a short cable with USB on one end. This device here, I'm not exactly sure what this is. And a suction cup mount. And the suction cup mount has a turning thing on it to increase the suction, which means it will be much less likely to just fall off the windshield. And this just mounts goes into the little slot and slides over, and then you suck it onto the windshield. So let's take a look at the actual operation of the camera, and I'm going to do that here before we install it in the car. By the way, I wanted to point out this little tool here, and what this appears to be is right there. There's a little tiny hole where if the whole thing locks up and you need to reset it to factory settings, you take and poke something into there, and they included this with it, and it's got a little loop on it so you can put it in your keychain or whatever, which is a nice touch. Unnecessary, but it's a nice touch. So I've taken the suction cup mount off because this right here has a 90-degree turn in it so that it doesn't interfere with the suction cup mount. But I'm plugging this thing into an Android cable that's plugged into the wall, and it doesn't have that, and this would have gotten in the way of that. So first I'm going to put an SD card in it, and then I'm going to plug it in, and it powers on just like it would if it was in a car and you turn on the ignition. As soon as it gets 12 volts, it turns on, or actually I guess 5.5 volts. So we have 4 buttons on this camera, and this is the button that starts and stops filming. This right here is a menu button which cycles through the 2 menus. And then this button here and here, these 2 buttons are up and down to go through the menu options. This one selects. If the camera is recording and you want to save a clip, you press this button here, and it locks that clip so it won't get overwritten. Now I'm going to adjust the shutter speed so that you can get a good view of the menu while I go through the menu options. So we press the menu button 1 time. Oh, you have to stop recording in order to get into the menus. Press the menu button 1 time, and the first option there is resolution. So we press this button here, and you get the option of 1080 FHD, 720p, and VGA. We're going to leave it at 1080p. Loop recording, set that to 5 minutes. You get off 1 minute, 3 minutes, or 5 minutes. If you turn that off, I think it won't overwrite the files on the drive when it fills up, on the SD card when it fills up. WDR is wide dynamic range. That just gives you an improvement in the picture when there's different light levels in frame. Exposure can be adjusted anywhere from +3 to -3, and we're just going to leave that at 0. Motion detection, that's going to be turned off. What motion detection does is it will only record when it detects motion. We don't want to do that. We want it to record all the time when the ignition is on. Audio, we're going to set to on. You would turn this off if you don't want to record everything, every conversation going on in your car, or you don't want to record you cursing at other drivers. But I'll leave it on. If I was ever in an accident, I think I would want the sound to work and be recorded. Timestamp, that's to display a timestamp on the screen when you're reviewing your video. Gravity sensor, that's G sensor. It can be set to off, low, medium, or high. I'm leaving it off, and the reason being that when you get in an accident and there's a shock to the camera, it will lock the file so that it won't be overwritten. And that's great, but we live in New Orleans and the streets here are terrible. And even with this thing set to low, every bump you hit it'll lock the file. And then eventually the SD card fills up and it can't write anymore. And so I just leave that off. If I get in an accident, I can manually save the video, or more than likely it's not going to continue to record. So we're going to leave that off. Parking guard. What this does is it ignores the G-sensor setting. When the camera is off and not recording, if it detects a shock, it'll turn on under its own battery power and record for a minute. And that way, if somebody backs into your car, hopefully the camera will turn on and catch who did it, or catch a license plate number. That would work ideally if you had a front and rear camera setup, which we don't have. Headlight warning. What this does when this is on is whenever the camera detects total darkness, and I'm going to get out of the menu for a minute, you get that little beeping sound and this flashing headlight symbol. And in modern cars, you know, most cars made in the last 20 years have daytime running lights. That would probably disable this feature by itself. All three of our cars have automatic headlights, so that's not a concern. So I'm just going to leave this feature off. I still have my old 75 Chrysler. I might turn that on for that purpose. But that's going to be off. So that's the end of that menu. There's the second menu with date and time. Whoops, and I hit the wrong button. And here's where you set the date and the time, which is already set. Auto power off. I've actually had to play with this because this seems to actually shut the camera off for some reason. I don't know why it would do that. I've got it set to off, and it seems to work like that. When you disconnect the power from it, which was, you know, simulates what would happen when you turn the ignition off, the camera shuts off after about 30 seconds. If you set this to 1 minute or 3 minutes, the camera seems to just shut off when it's recording with power. I'm not exactly sure why that is, but it works with that setting off. Beep sound you can turn on or off. I'm going to leave the beep on. Language, you have a variety of languages. If English is not your language, we have an option of English, Francais, Italiano, Espanol, Portuguese, some Cyrillic language, I guess that's Russian, and then 3 different Asian languages. We're going to leave that on English. Frequency, we set to 60 hertz. If you're outside of North America, you would probably set that to 50. NTSC is 60 hertz, PAL is 50 hertz, and I'm guessing that's what that is. I've always set my cameras to 60. Screensaver, we're going to leave off. Don't need a screensaver. What that does is it blanks out the screen when, you know, after a minute when the camera's recording. I'm going to have it hidden behind the rearview mirror, so it doesn't matter to me if it's on or not. License plate, you can turn this on and program in your license plate number to display, you know, to be stamped onto the recordings. I'm not fooling with that. Not really necessary. Format, we'll format the SD card, which I'm going to go ahead and do because I'm not sure what's on this SD card other than video of this table. That happens very quickly. Okay, then the next option is default setting. What this does is it restores everything to factory defaults. No, we're not going to do that. Version shows, I guess the firmware version, APEMAN C420 v5.1.0.0-J. With other cameras that I've had before, if there was a firmware update, you could download it with your computer, save it on the SD card, and then plug the SD card into the camera, turn it on, and it would automatically upgrade the firmware. I haven't even looked into that yet. Startup sound, we're going to leave on, and that's just, it's good to have a confirmation when you start your car that the camera's working. And that's it for the menu options. So, let's go ahead and install it. Okay, so I'm going to install this dash cam. First, I'm going to position it right here in the window. Turn the little thing to make sure it's suctioned down real good. And the only problem I see is it doesn't... There's no way to really angle it. So it's going to be crooked no matter what I do. See what the view looks like. That's okay, it's not great, but here's why it's a good idea to position the thing before you start running the wires, because I can get it off. I'm going to put it right here in the center, all the way up at the top, and that way it's kind of hidden behind the rear view mirror. Just point it a little high. So I'm going to set it right there, and now we know where it needs to be. Okay, so the reason why I did that then is because I wanted to know where the wire is going to go, because the wire is going to get stuck up into the headliner and down this thing here, and then around that down here to this port right here, which is where I'm going to temporarily locate it. I'm going to wire in a separate power port to go behind this panel here, so it'll be completely hidden. But I don't have what I need to do that yet. I just ordered it off of Amazon, so that's going to go in later. But for right now, I'm just going to get the thing working. So let's take a look at running the wire. Okay, so now that we have the camera located, we're going to install the wiring. And I probably should have plugged this thing in before, but no, there we go. Okay, and then I figured out what this tool here is. And this is for shoving the wire into the headliner. So adjust my camera down a little bit so I can look up. All right. Yeah, so basically, and this is actually going under the headliner a lot easier than I expected. I've done this before using screwdrivers or just my fingernails or whatever. And sometimes it's not the easiest thing to do. This isn't really going in the way I want it to, but oh, there we go. Just got to kind of work this loose to a point where it'll let the wire get in there. And once it's in, it kind of tends to stay in. Now the next problem is getting it behind this, which we may or may not be able to do. It's sort of working. There's no easy way to completely hide the wire unless you're willing to take the car apart. I'm just going to go behind this trim here. So all we need to do is get it down here to the bottom. And it's mostly hidden. So now I can't find anything to tuck the wire up under here. So I'm gonna have to go in and clean this up a bit, but you get the general idea. If there's nothing to tuck it under the dash, you're gonna have to crawl under there and look up under the dash and, you know, get some zip ties or something and tie it up. But there's always ways to hide it. I just want it to be as hidden as possible, and I'm not real happy with this. I don't want to push on the wire too hard because I don't want to damage it. But I think we're at a point now where it's good enough just for testing purposes. So and it powers up just the way it's supposed to. This one does not have an SD card in it, so I guess I grabbed the wrong one. But otherwise it's working, and the lighting conditions here are pretty bad. But I think I'm going to lower it one notch like that, because it really doesn't need to be shooting the sky. So I think we've been successful. I'm not really going to worry about posting any video from it right now. But yeah, I think we're done. This is mostly installed. Just got to do a little bit of cleanup. So thanks for watching. Hopefully, if you're looking to get a dash cam for your car, this has helped you. So share this video with your friends. Be sure to subscribe if you haven't already. Give us a thumbs up. Post a comment below, and join us for our next 504 road trip.